with Steph Curry returning for the Golden State Warriors when they go up against the Denver Nuggets in the first round of the playoffs, just how impactful is that going to be for Golden State moving forward?
Well, it's going to be extremely impactful. I mean, we're talking about the greatest shooter of all time. We're talking about somebody that demands to be guarded right when he gets out of the car in the parking lot. We're talking about a guy that changes the dynamic of a game and how a defense completely strategizes against him. The man can pull from half court and beyond. We've seen him do it. We know that when he gets hot, it's very scary. Him and Clay on the same court together, let alone when one of them gets hot, you kind of have to go and double the other, leave the other one open. Um, I feel that with the addition of Clay coming back, with Jordan Poole's emergence, with Steph Curry um, playing as good as he was playing before he got injured, I think that him playing is that X factor. And obviously, the first couple of games, maybe game one and maybe going into game two, he's going to be in a little bit of a slump. He's been gone for a little bit, but they said that he was a full participant in practice today, so I would assume that he's going to be playing with maybe a minute restriction, maybe just kind of being a little bit easy going into it. I don't necessarily see him driving into the paint necessarily all game long. But again, if you're a full participant in practice, I would assume that there are no holds barred. Plus, it's the playoffs, so you can't exactly have your best player limited. Um, I really, really think that when Steph is on the court, Clay plays that much better because you got to pick your poison and you got to figure out if Steph's hot, do you leave Clay open? If Clay gets hot, do you leave Steph open? And it's just it's a dynamic duo of a magnitude that you necessarily can't predict. And now you have an emerging young star in Jordan Poole that has improved his jump shot, has become deadly in his own right, to where you're like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? Or when all three of them are on the court, you got Steph at the one, Poole at the two, Clay at the three. You got three knockdown shooters that just stretch the floor. And then if they go small ball with Draymond at the five, I mean, who's to say they just literally all stand outside of the perimeter? So Steph Curry just makes a team better, even if he runs around and he's the decoy, even if he has an off night. We know for a fact that Clay and everybody else on that team can step up and kind of shoulder the load themselves. Um, I'm going to make a point here quickly just before I pass it back to Kyle. I am a little bit worried about their interior defense because if they get Draymond in foul trouble and Kevon Looney in foul trouble, Nikola Jokic is going to eat this team alive because they don't have much depth, especially without Wiseman. Um, we've talked about this multiple times. Nikola Jokic is our favorite to win the MVP in back-to-back years. I think that Nikola Jokic's play this season has shown that, even without his running mate, he can carry a team into a playoff position. You go into a not deep Golden State team in terms of at that big position, he might go and average 30 this series. I'm not saying that they're going to win, but I would not be surprised if this series were to go to 6 or 7 if Steph struggles and if Steph is kind of still like recovering steadily throughout this game, or should I say this series. Just keep an eye out for Nikola Jokic because I think that he's going to actually not bully his way into scoring a good amount, maybe averaging a triple double. But if his teammates can knock down some shots, I think that the Nuggets can potentially give the Warriors a decent run.
Oh, Kevin, I'm in full agreement with you on this one. And the thing about Golden State that I always have to factor when it comes to these playoff runs is if Steph is able to knock down his shots on a consistent basis. I truly believe this. Like Golden State can end up in the Western Conference Finals as long as they play their cards right and they play somewhat decent defense. Because here's the thing about Golden State. I think everybody focuses on Steph, and deservedly so. Steph is, as far as I'm concerned, he is probably this generation's most impactful player, even more so than LeBron James, because he revolutionized the 3-point shot to a point that had never been seen before. And with that said, it's made Golden State a title contender for the last, 5 to 6 years at this point. And the thing is, granted, he's coming off of a foot injury that he's been dealing with for the last couple weeks. And I need to see how it works initially. But I think he's going to be able to shake off the rust fairly quickly. I remember I was reading a report about his status going into this series, saying that he was refreshed, that he seemed focused going into this matchup against the Nuggets. And I think if you're looking at it from a Golden State perspective, you have to be very confident about where Steph's head's at this point. Because if he's looking ready to go and he's refreshed and feeling like 100%, that's going to be a nightmare scenario for the Nuggets. Because if Steph gets into a hot streak going into this series, that could prove to be pretty deadly against Denver in that regard. And not only that, I think when you look at Golden State at this point, I think with Steph back in the lineup, it makes them favorites in this series over the Nuggets. I'm not gonna say overwhelming favorites, like they're gonna sweep them in 4 games and Golden State's just gonna waltz into the second round of the playoffs. I don't see it like that. But what I do see is that Steph's gonna provide an element for this team that's been missing the last couple of weeks to go alongside with Klay Thompson. I mean, Klay Thompson finished the year extremely well. I remember against the Pelicans in the last game of the year, he dropped 41 points in 31 minutes. And then if they're able to get decent contributions from Jordan Poole is really kind of that one guy to kind of look at from Golden State. He's really kind of that younger piece that Golden State has at their disposal who could really play lights out and could put up 25, 30 points if he's knocking down his shots. He's going to be interesting to see in this series. And then the biggest thing I think defensively that Golden State's going to have to focus on is Kevon Looney against Nikola Jokic. Jokic is potentially getting back-to-back MVPs, and Jokic is going to go out there and average at least 25 points, if not 30 points consistently, probably averaging close to 10 to 15 rebounds a game and probably 8 assists a game when these two teams go at it in this series. That's definitely a weak point for Golden State. There's no doubt about that. It's just that I think with Steph coming back into the fold, I think it just raises the entire confidence of the team. And I think it's enough to propel them against the Nuggets in this series. The way that I see this series going, I have a I have a basic idea that I think it's going to end in 6 games, just because I think Jokic is going to be able to get some games for Denver, just because the guy has been playing absolutely phenomenal this year. Following what he did last year when he won an MVP, could very well win it again this year. I can't slight on that in any way, shape, or form. I think he's going to go out there and be dominant in multiple games this series, but I just don't think that the Nuggets have enough firepower to offset what Golden State presents with Steph, Clay, Jordan Poole, and potentially guys like Jonathan Kuminga and even Draymond here and there. So all in all, I think this is going to be a great series. But Steph is really the difference maker, and him coming back into the fold, I think, is a difference maker. That's just how I see it.